This is my general purpose vise. It gets a lot of punishment over the years. I use it for welding on, grinding, hacksawing and so forth, and after a while all the jaws get marks in them, saw cuts, and no matter how careful you are that does happen, so I keep this vise just for that purpose. Anyway, once in a while I give it a birthday, and I've reground the tops of these vice jaws. These are hardened, of course, and then with a flat file and some emery cloth draw filed it so they're nice and flush, so it's pleasant to use again. And a little mod I've done here in the actual cast iron part, I've drilled a couple of holes, and on that jaw one hole, and they're all the same depth, and I made up some little pins that I can drop into the holes like so. And I find it very handy if you want to hold round things. They can just be dropped on there and tightened up, and then you can drill, file, cut, and it extends the capacity of the vise. You have to be reasonably respectful of the vise that you are into cast. After all, you don't want to break cast, but it's a handy little tip. And when they're not there, of course, or not required, just take them out. It causes no problems. Anyway, that's a simple little modification you might like. Here's another simple little tip you might like. As you can see from the from this view, there's nothing wrong with the lighting over the workshop, but due to the colour balance of the camera, if I pan up towards the light, it goes dark and so forth. So apologies for that, but the point I'm trying to make is I've got two fluorescent tubes above the bench, and this one is daylight tube, and you'll find that makes a great deal of difference. Come back down here. Makes a great deal of difference to the light and being able to see here. I don't mind using fluorescent tubes over the bench, but I never use fluorescent tube lighting over the lathe or drilling machines or milling machines, as you can get a strobe effect, and this is how accidents happen. More on that another time. Once again, on the subject of lighting, here you can see I've set up a small shop spotlight mounted on a G-clamp, and it's illuminating my bandsaw. But those of you like me where the eyesight is failing somewhat appreciate plenty of light so you can see what you're doing. And I can swing this light to there, and the same fitting does two jobs. Simple but effective. Here we have a simple arrangement I employ because I like playing with engines. I've got a half-ton lock and tackle in the workshop, but it's only a timber roof, and if I pan up you can see, I won't go any further, the actual beam that supports the block and tackle is nothing more than a 6x2 timber member that spans the workshop. I have put a vertical brace up to the top of the apex, which will allow greater weights to be lifted, and a simpler travel mechanism that allows me to position it anywhere along the beam. But I have had up to 3/4 of a ton, but in order to achieve this I've put a prop underneath the timber, each side of the weight, so that's under compressive load. As I work on my own, this is the only way I can move heavy machinery or engines about. Anyway, I thought you'd like to see that. Okay, well, to continue this workshop waffle, I've got a selection of cordless power tools here. I'm not a lover of cordless power tools. They invariably pack up, you know, during a job, and you can carry spare batteries and all the rest, but it's a pain, you know. Well, I think it's a pain. I'd rather have something with a lead, quite honestly. The new generation of equipment use these lithium batteries. They are a bit more tolerant, but they're even worse at packing up suddenly, and they do pack up absolutely suddenly, right through the middle of drilling a hole or putting in a screw. And this irritates me beyond words. I much prefer the NiCad batteries. At least you get some warning when they're starting to go down. But they do have problems, but at least I think I know what these problems are. There's a lot of memory problems if they're not cycled properly. And I've done one or two videos on sparking up and rebuilding power packs. And there's been various discussions, and some of you seem to question my success rate. Well, I don't intend to get into an argument over it. You continue to do what you want and I'll do what I want, but I've been reasonably successful with building these packs, and I believe the secret mainly is to equalise each individual battery, bring each voltage up to the same amount, and then cycle the batteries to avoid the memory effect. And how I do this, I've made a simple charger arrangement up, but to discharge the batteries, I've got a 24 volt, it can be anything, it can be 12, but it's a lorry battery, a nice big bulb, big bulb, and I've soldered a couple of pieces of brass shaped like so, they bend quite easily, on a piece of plastic, and then filled the plastic up with the epoxy so it holds those, and I've got one or two of them, and it's quite handy that they will straddle the get it right, they will straddle the battery and slowly drain the battery. Before the bulb goes completely out, it'll go back on charge again. That one's got a bit bent over the years. Let's try this one. That's better. But it fits all this type of battery. And, well, made out of nothing really. Anyway, I've had reasonable success with these. You won't get the performance that you did when new. I've never claimed that. But I can certainly get 60-70% of its original capacity. So whatever I'm doing wrong, guys, I'm going to keep doing it. Okay then, final part of this waffling. I've just been called to say I've got a cup of tea. I don't like cold tea, so very quickly back to the vise. Somebody commented that the vise is too far back from the front of the bench, meaning that you couldn't stand something sort of 4 foot down and work on it. But perhaps what they didn't realise is this vise is on a turret arrangement. By undoing these, the whole vise can be swiveled in any direction. And over there, of course, then it's over the bench, and very handy to be able to do that. So, just do those up. That one. And that one. Just give that a bit more of a tighten. That's it. That's used mainly in that position. A very simple tool I've made up for bending and straightening things, assuming we wanted to bend that piece of strip, you could hit it with a hammer, not a good idea, or make a tool similar to that, and it's quite easy to impart a bend on anything. You don't need heat, anything you like. And this is a good, well, you can see the section of it. The same if you want to put a twist in. Put that there. You could use a pair of mole grips and so forth, but if you just simply wanted to put a twist in a piece of steel, so you can put a screw onto a piece of wood that way and that way, quite simple. So don't use a hammer, use one of them. Anyway, my tea's getting cold. Catch you later, guys.